your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has been representing immigrants for nearly 40 years. Reeves Immigration Law Group has been fighting for its clients through experience and expertise. With immigration lawyers you can access at reasonable fees, even on Saturday. Payment plans are also available. Call us for your immigration solutions. We can do worldwide telephone and Skype consultations. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009. Reeves Immigration Law Group has offices in Los Angeles, San Francisco, China, and Philippines. See us at www.rreeves.com. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009.
Reeves Immigration Law Group now brings you Immigration Law on Your Side.
Thank you for joining us. This is Immigration Law on Your Side on PHLV Radio. Ako po si Kuya Yo, nanggagaling po dito sa PHLV Radio Studios sa Las Vegas, Nevada. And kasama po natin yung gabi si Attorney Flomy Javier Diza ng Reeves Immigration Law Group. Sila po mga kabigan ang ating major sponsor ng program natin. Maraming salamat po Attorney Flomy Javier Diza at lahat po ng bumubuo ng Reeves Immigration Law Group. Ngayong gabi, napakaganda po ng ating topic at ang ating episode dahil ito pong employment-based third preference ay malamang alam nyo at probably ikaw o yung mga kamag-anak ay dumaan sa ganito. EB3 mga kaibigan ang pag-uusapan natin. EB3 is often underappreciated yet it's highly useful para sa mga employers seeking to fill positions dito po sa Amerika, dito sa United States of any skill level. Mapa-nurse man yan or kahit unskilled workers mga kaibigan. So, i-welcome na po natin ang ating kaibigan from California, nandyan sa Reeves Immigration Law Group, si Attorney Flomy Javier Diza to walk us through EB3, Employment-Based Third Preference Category mga kaibigan. Attorney, magandang gabi po sa'yo.
Magandang gabi Kuya Yo at siyempre sa mga viewers and listeners natin, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat din at maganda nga ang pag-uusapan natin dahil magbubukas na ang mga visa, no, yung employment-based at mga embassies natin. So very timely ang pag-usapan natin ngayon ang EB3 or Employment-Based 3 category. So specifically, yan po ang pag-usapan natin ngayon, yung third preference. But to just give an idea sa mga viewers natin, meron din parang yung employment-based category kasi parang family-based yan. Ano? May mga category from yung F1 or yung mga unmarried children or married children, yung mga F1 to F4. Dun sa employment-based, meron din po mga different categories, yung from EB1, which are the extraordinary ability on the field of sciences and arts, right? And EB2, ito yung mga may advanced degrees or master degrees, right? So, very limited po kasi yung mga job offers sa mga EB1 kasi extraordinary ability yan, kagaya ng mga athletes, Olympians or mga models, right? Or EB2 naman, ito yung mga may master degrees, right? Or may mga doctorates. Pero yung pag-usapan natin very timely kasi EB3 Kuya Yo, ito yung mga skilled professionals and unskilled workers, employment-based 3. And if you look at the visa bulletin ngayon, ay current ang priority date, meaning that the visa is immediately available. So ibig sabihin nun, kapag na-approve po ang inyong petisyon, right, ang labor certification o yung employment-based petition ay pwede na po kayong i-process ang inyong visa at kung kayo po ay nasa US ay pwede nang i-file ang inyong adjustment of status application.
Itong EB3 category, attorney, as you said, it's current right now, but this is the type of visa or immigrant visa that has been retrogressed or yung matagal na hinihintay ng ating mga kababayan usually. Ano po, attorney?
Yes, in the past Kuya Yo, if you look at the history ng visa bulletin, ang EB3, at some point, ang waiting time was as much as 7 years.
Wow.
Or 5 years, average of 5 years, like long time ago until such time na bumilis siya ng bumilis, right? And I think last year naging 2 years, naging 2 months, and then as of now, current pa siya. right? So minsan nagre-retrogress yan, and at some point ang employer hindi na nakapaghintay ng kanyang petisyon o yung petition para sa empleyado niya, bumukuha na siya ng ibang empleyado or ina-abandon na yung kanyang petisyon. The same time sa employee din, sa tagal ng panahon kasi minsan marami ng pagbabago sa buhay, kaya hindi rin natutuloy. And that's one of the disadvantages, as you mentioned, it's because of the retrogression. But we need to take advantage yung pagiging current ang priority date kasi bibihira mangyari yan, Kuya Yo, at sa mga pag-usapan natin mamaya, yung mga healthcare workers na may proposal din dyan na i-allot or allocate yung extra visa para mabigyan ulit ng additional numbers para dun sa mga nasa healthcare workers. But as of now, ang EB3, as we mentioned, it includes extraordinarily broad swath of all occupations na hindi nagpo-fall sa EB1 or sa EB2. Nandyan po yung registered nurses, mga physical therapists, mga professionals, teachers, pwede rin mga unskilled kagaya ng caregivers or laborers o mga cooks. Now, kahit zero experience, pwede rin yan as long as, of course, the employer observe yung process to recruit and file for that labor certification.
Nabanggit yung attorney na kahit unskilled ay po pwedeng mag-avail ng EB3, and of course the professionals and the skilled. Para po sa ating kapakanan ng ating mga viewers and listeners, help us define kung papaano o sino ang nagpo-fall under the, say for example, the professionals muna. Sino po ba ang mga tinatawag na professionals in terms of dito sa immigration na ito?
Yeah, just because EB3 includes professionals, right? Ito yung mga nakatapos ng mga 4-year course, bachelor's degree, right? At nakapagtapos ng any 4-year course, bachelor's or not associate degree kasi 2 years lang yan. Any 4-year bachelor's degree kagaya ng teachers, right? Or economics major po kayo, pwede rin yan. Marketing, basta 4-year course that's considered as professionals. Or yung mga may mga examinations na ipasa yung mga state board or local licensure exams, so kasama dyan yung mga professionals, right? Now yung isa sa mga another aspect ng EB3, Kuya Yo, ito yung skilled workers naman ay ang requirement lang ho dyan ay 2 years experience, right? So which is very minimal compared dun sa EB2 kasi ang EB2 they require like 5 years or 10 years experience, right? So itong EB3 skilled workers 2 years experience, tapos yung mga unskilled naman pwede rin mag-start ng zero experience kagaya kalimbawa ng you want to petition a nanny or a housekeeper or a caregiver. You can start from a high school graduate at the minimum requirement or zero experience. So yun yung qualifications ng unskilled. So just keep in mind na ang requirement po ng empleyado ay kinakailangan i-publish yan or magkaroon po ng recruitment aspect at sasabihin po ninyo doon sa inyong recruitment ng employer.
Mm-hmm. So, attorney, with regards to itong mga professionals especially, there are a lot of, say for example, mga teachers, mga nurses, and sometimes they come here on a different type of visa. When you said that they might probably qualify for EB3, and especially if they're coming from the Philippines, it's current anyway. Why is that some of the employers, like for example, here in Las Vegas, we have a lot of mga teachers, attorney, galing sa Pilipinas. Bakit po hindi sila nag-EB3 na lang?
Depende sa employer yan, Kuya, at saka depende sa need ng employer. So, if you look at the different kinds of visa, karamihan sa mga pumapasok dito ay non-immigrant, right? Kagaya ng mga teachers na banggit mo from Las Vegas and any other parts of the country, right? Their petition or teachers are coming under a J1, yung mga exchange program. Right? They're coming here to work and experience, yung trabaho dito, right? And then they are required to go back. Right? That's why may mga restriction that they cannot change status or extend their status unless they go back home for 2 years. Ito yung tinatawag natin 2 years home residency requirement. So depende sa need ng employer at saka very limited lang din kasi kuya, depende sa need. Let's say ang kailangan lang nila is they foresee na kailangan lang ang service for 3 years. So binibigyan lang sila ng either J1 or on the other hand, kuya yo, ay H1Bs na kailangan yung ibang non-immigrant visa categories pumapasok ang mga kababayan natin using an H1B. Ito yung mga professional non-immigrant naman. So ang pinag-uusapan nating EB3 kuya yo ay green card na leading to green card. That's why yung mga nandito sa Amerika and if your employers are willing to start the process, they should start right away. Lalo na yung mga nasa J1 din na usually binibigyan lang po kayo ng 1 year or 3 years or next time ka until 6 years. So you have enough time to start the labor certification process. Kasi except for registered nurses kuya and physical therapists at saka yung mga declared by the Department of Labor na merong scarcity of jobs, most jobs are required to do a labor certification, right? Except for RNs and physical therapists, as we mentioned, where ang processing time niyan will take about a year.
Wow. Kasi
nga ang employer tries to do the labor certification and stuff like that. So it's a good idea sa mga kababayan natin, kuya yo, under a H1B or J1 or L1 or E2s, di ba? So yung mga non-immigrant kasi yan, hindi po yan bigla na lang kayo makakatanggap ng green card. Kasi as we mentioned, ang inyong category po ay non-immigrant lang. So hindi po kayo maglilid ng green card unless you do another step, which is yung EB3 or under what we call the labor certification process, and then EB3 petition from your employer.
So it really depends on the petitioner, mga kababayan, sa employer, no? I'm sure right now marami na silang mga nasa isip na mga tanong, attorney. Mamaya siguro itatanong natin yan. Pero itong sa EB3, attorney, nabanggit nyo na ang employer ang of course magti-trigger ng kanilang petition. Ano po naman ang mga requirements ng mga employer? Can any employer here in the United States petition for an EB3 beneficiary?
Yes, they have to have the need or for that position, right? So of course we have to take care of the U.S. workers as well. That's why the initial step for the employer is to do a labor certification aspect. That's why sa mga nanonood nating kababayan kuya yo, right? So sasabihin niyo gusto kong mag-immigrate diyan, attorney, at gusto kong RN ako or gusto kong magiging nanny ng kamag-anak or distant relative or may willing na employer, then I would strongly recommend that the employer should talk to the attorney, right? Pwede nyo silang i-recommend sa law firm namin so that we can discuss to them the process. Kasi ang employment base po is employer-driven, right? Hindi po kayo mga empleyado ang usually nagpo-provide ng information. So it's very important for us attorneys to assess the capacity and capability of the employer to file a petition. Kasi ayaw natin magsayang ng oras at panahon at pera ninyo, right? Kung hindi rin po mag-go through. That's why it's really important for us to assess ng employer. Of course, number one would be we assess kung gano'n nakatagal yung company nila, right? Or pwede rin individual person, kuya, yung mga naghahangad na mag-hire ng nanny or caregivers para sa kanilang may mga anak na may kapansanan or may magulang sila na kailangan ng help, right? Of course, we have to assess also the financial status because it's a requirement that the petitioning employer should have the capacity to pay or the ability to pay. So if you're saying that you are, and of course they have to promise that they're going to pay you the prevailing wage, right? So kung teacher ka, magkano ba ang bayad ng teacher sa area? At hindi po pwedeng bababa dun sa nire-require ng Department of Labor na wages on that particular area. Na ganun din sa mga caregivers or mga nannies. So hindi po pwede yung nakatira ka naman sa akin, so ito lang babayad ko sa'yo. It doesn't work that way. They have to comply with the minimum wage or the required wage under the Department of Labor. So yun ang unang-unang tinitingnan ng employer. Kuya yo, right, mayroon bang ability to pay yung employer at may need ba ng employer? So let's say ang kliyente care home, right? So sasabihin attorney, gusto kong dalhin dito yung teacher kong magaling na kilala ko, right? Na pwedeng, or distant relative na pwedeng magtrabaho sa akin, pero ang qualification naman niya is a teacher, hindi ganon. Hindi siya pwedeng i-hire as a teacher sa care home, right? Or office manager, but of course as long as ma-meet niya yung requirement. So may mga instances din, Kuya Yo, where kahit nakapagtapos yung ating mga empleyado ng 4-year degree but gusto nilang magtrabaho dito as a caregiver, for the minimum requirement is, for example, only high school graduate and zero experience in caregiving, pwede rin yon. Kaya lang, syempre, the other difficulty there is yung labor certification, yung pagpapa-advertise ng employer, right? Kasi aside from the ability to pay, magre-recruit yung employer to show to the Department of Labor that the U.S. workers are not displaced, right? There's no willing, there's no able U.S. citizen to take the position. So then, under that labor certification process, Kuya Yo, mag-advertise sa 2 newspaper of general circulations, magpapa-advertise sa kanilang website, magpo-post sa kanyang bulletin board saying that we need this employee, we need to hire, a caregiver or a teacher. So lahat yan ipapaalam sa public. And of course, siyempre yung mga nag-a-apply naman, Kuya Yo, kailangan tawagin, yung normal procedure po ng company to hire, ng empleyado. Right? Call them through telephone or email them that their application forms were accepted and considered, and they go to the next level of the recruitment. Right? Tatawagin sila for interview, for example, or magpapadala ng mga references or mga other requirements. So only then, if the employer determines na wala namang willing na, not to fill in the position dito na US worker, then dun siya magpa-file sa the Labor Department attesting to the effect that there are no U.S. citizen capable, willing to take the position. Once that is certified by the Department of Labor, dun na papasok, Kuya Yo, yung second step, which is the I-140, where the employer files for the immigrant petition. Kasi yung unang process po ay, under Department of Labor lang yan. And then once that's approved, then it goes to the petition goes to the USCIS or file a petition before the USCIS.
I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, Attorney, dun sa nabanggit nyo kanina na ang nurses, especially, they are not required to undergo the labor certification. Ito ba yung tinatawag, Attorney, na sila ay under this Schedule A? Yung ba yun, Attorney?
That's correct. Under Schedule A sila, so they are not required to undergo the labor certification aspect. But of course, one of the difficulties ng mga kababayan natin, of course, is to obtain yung certificate, yung CGFNS, right? Showing that either they passed the state board, right? One of the state boards in the US, or yung sa English language in TOEFL. At they have also met the requirements, yung kanilang natapos sila ng degree of nursing, right? So lahat yan isasubmit nila sa agency where they will certify that they met the requirements under the licensure examination, yung CGFNS. So only then doon pala magfa-file ng petition ng employer. Madali lang, Kuya Yo, kung mayroong employer, that's for sure, right? At lalo na kung nandito sila on a non-immigrant visa, right? Meron sila halimbawang H-1Bs or J-1s or L-1s or any kind of non-immigrant or student, for example, as long as the status is still valid, then the employer can file, right away yung I-140 without doing the labor certification since they are exempted under Schedule A, and concurrently with the adjustment of status. Yun ang kinaganda nun kasi valid and available ang visa. Para kang nag-asawa ng US citizen, Kuya Yo, kung you're a registered nurse and you have an employer and you met all the requirements, right? And in order for you to file the immigrant visa petition from the employer and the adjustment of status concurrently at the same time.
I would like to point out to our listeners, mga kababayan natin, na this hindi ito ganito. Just a few years ago, mga kaibigan, itong category na ito na EB3, this is always retrogressed na kamukha nung nasabi ni attorney na matagal ang inihintay. Hindi kamukha ngayon na it is current. There was a time before that some of our friends, they always look at the attorney, yung visa bulletin. Every month, tinitingnan nila, current na ba? Current na ba? Current na ba? Sabi, 6 months na lang ang hihintayin. Pero ngayon mga babayan, it's current. That is why, if kamukha ng nasabi ni attorney, if you are here in the United States and probably you'd like to explore this route, mangyari lamang po na, you can contact Reeves Immigration Law Group para po naman makita nyo at malaman natin ang inyong mga options. So attorney, once the I-140 has been filed, and na-approve, how long and how does the worker get the green card, attorney?
Dalawang bagay yan, Kuya Yo. If the employee or the worker is in the US, right, and maintaining status, meaning yung non-immigrant status kagaya ng J1 na si status pa siya, or H1B, L1, or even a tourist visa as long as they are in status, and the I-140 is current. Kahit wala pang approval, Kuya Yo, as long as it's current, pwede concurrent filing. Right? Unless nag-retrogress yan, hintayin mo munang ma-approve at hintayin mo yung priority to become available bago makapag-adjust if you're in the US or makapag-file ng green card. But if you're in the Philippines, for example, or any parts of the world, nagtatrabaho po kayo sa Middle East, for example, at meron kayo employment petition, right? Once that's approved, and as of now, it's current, automatic po yan padadala sa National Visa Center for Processing, where you submit all the documentation, right? Yung civil documents po ninyo, such as yung birth certificates, marriage certificates, police report, etc. And then hintayin nyo po ang interview kung saan po kayo nakatira o saan nyo gustong ma-interview. Right? Kasi ngayon ang mga Filipino, Kuya Yo, nagkalat po tayo at marami tayong mga pinaprocess from the Middle East, from Europe, and parts of Asia where they already have maintained their residency rather dyan sa mga ibang bansa, and they can get their visa or the interview at the US Embassy where they reside as long as they are in a valid status in that country. So pwede yon. So maghihintay na lang sila ng interview, and hopefully by that time at maging current and available ang kanilang visa, then they are able to come here. Right, pagpasok sa US, Kuya Yo, kagaya ng kagaya ng family base, the moment they enter the US, they are considered as a green card holder. Right? So, and then they're required, of course, to work with the petitioning employer.
Now, attorney, a few episodes ago, we talked about the H1B, which is very, very employer specific. Yung petition, you should work only with that petitioner. Ang EB3 po ba, attorney, you are required to work for that particular employer only?
Yes, it's a requirement. Even if you obtain your green card already, Kuya Yo, you are required to work with the petitioning employer. Take note sa mga kababayan natin, most of the employers are wise enough then to say that, to propose a contract and probably to sign a contract with you saying that the employee needs to be working or needs to work with the petitioning employer for a certain number of years, right? Marami sa mga employer na medyo, alam na lang ginagawa kasi maraming tumatakas or ayaw na magtrabaho once they get the green card. So essentially, take note of the contract. So even if you are not required to work, even if most of the states in the US are employment at will, meaning you can leave, employment anytime you want, with or without a reason, you have to look at the contract that you signed. Kasi baka sabihin naman you have to reimburse, right, all the expenses plus, certain amount of money, right? Like 20,000, pwede mong bayaran yung 20,000, pwede kang umalis, stuff like that. But also take note, mga kababayan, that once you become or apply for citizenship or naturalization in the future, the immigration officer will ask you how you obtain your green card, right? So if you obtain through employment, they will ask you, how long have you worked with the petitioning employer. So kung sasabihin mo na hindi ako nagtrabaho doon, then it raises red flag. Right? So parang ginamit mo lang yun. Parang pag-asawa yan, Kuya Yo, di ba? Nagpa-petition ko sa employer, yung pala hindi ka naman magtatrabaho doon. So it's, they're going to question that. or nag-asawa ka nito tapos hindi ka na nagsama. So what's the purpose of you being petitioned kung hindi ka naman nagtrabaho sa inyong petitioning employer? So, but there are situations, Kuya Yo, where the employer once they enter the US, once the employee entered the US, nagkakaroon ng problema with the employer. Either nagkaroon ng bankruptcy or wala nang need. So the employee needs to takes extra step, by calling them and emailing them that he's interested to be employed. Kasi yun naman ang purpose niya dito, di ba? So sabi niya, kailangan ako mag-uumpisa. Bakit hindi niyo ako pinapatawag? Bakit ayaw niyo akong i-hire? So that if and when this issue will come up during the naturalization process, then you have this evidence to show that you took extra steps, and to insist that you need to be working with your employer.
Paano nga, attorney, kung say for example, by the time that the beneficiary is already here in the United States, o kaya kung dati na siyang nandito, and all of a sudden wala na yung kumpanya. I mean, we've encountered some, although this was during the time na retrogressed, attorney, by the time na na-approve sila, yung kumpanyang nagpetition sa kanila 6 years ago ay wala na. What can they do, attorney?
Well, ang embassy, Kuya Yo, ay medyo rin sila. So before you go to the interview, the one of the requirements that we submit, right, or the embassy requires, is yung continuous offer of employment, right? So let's say na petition kayo 6 years ago, and then ang employer, or let's say na kayo lang natawag ng interview, the embassy likes to see nasa yung continuous offer of employment. An employment was offered to you 6 years ago. Kailangan pa rin yung continuous offer of employment from the employer. Sometimes they also require yung mga taxes, Kuya Yo, to make sure na nandito pa yung company. But unfortunately, I have encountered the same situations like yours where, pinatawag sila ng interview, I think, about 6 months ago, right? Nag-exist pa yung employer, right? But then, na-issue lang yung visa after several months dahil nagkaroon yata ng either retrogression or administrative delays and investigation. Eventually, the embassy decided to issue without further interview, right? So last interview was 6 months. And by the time na dumating dito nga yung employer, yung empleyado, wala na yung employer. So that's one of the situations na hindi mo maiwasan at times, and people are like stuck dun scenario, anong gagawin ko? Di ba? Basically, sabihin ko, you are not supposed to be coming here, kuha ka ng employer. So, yun ang advice natin. But people are here already when they seek an advice. But we tell them, like, you're already here as green card holder, right? That becomes an issue once you become a, a green card holder. Just make sure that, document kung paano anong nangyari, kung kailan mo nalaman wala na yung employer mo. So, those are some issues, that comes or that will arise, during your naturalization interview.
Ayos. Okay, mga kaibigan. As we said at the top of the program, this is a very interesting program. Topic. And it's a lengthy discussion itong EB3, especially sa mga kababayan natin, attorney, who's had a lot of experience. And right here in this program, we are barely scratching the surface here. And I'm sure marami pa kayong mga tanong. Kaya po mga kaibigan, mangyari lamang pong i-comment sa ating post right now. And sasagutin po ni attorney. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Marami pa dyan yung mga nagtatanong tungkol sa ganun nga, yung nawala na yung kanilang petitioner, and then meron pang nagtatanong ano daw itong recapture na ito ng kanilang priority date pag lumipat sila ng another employer. I'm sure maraming discussions regarding EB3 pa. Mangyari lamang po na i-comment and itag po ninyo si Attorney Flomi Javier Diza ng Reeves Immigration Law Group para po masagot ni attorney. Attorney, very briefly, doon sa unskilled workers naman po, attorney, nabanggit nyo kanina. Ito bang, halimbawa, merong isang pamilya, kailangan nila itong unskilled worker, pero temporary lang. Hindi naman pang forever yung kanilang need. Will they be able to apply for EB3?
Yes, Kuya Yo. But of course, the employer needs to find ways to make the position permanent, right? I know yung mga temporary workers natin, kagaya ng farm workers or kagaya ng mga H2Bs, yung mga H2Bs pumapasok dito to work with the hotels or resorts, on a temporary basis, like 8 months. If these are big companies, Kuya, even if they are temporary, the employer needs to find a permanent, some sort of permanency para naman makukuha sila ng green card.
Okay. Maraming salamat, attorney, for walking us through EB3, mga kababayan, employment-based third preference. We'll head over to a break, attorney, and pagbalik natin, kung meron po kayong gustong idagdag sa EB3, let's tackle that. But otherwise, we will give you guys an update, iba't iba pang mga immigration updates, mga kaibigan, sa pagbabalik po ng Immigration Law on Your Side. Right here at PHLV Radio. We are coming to you from the PHLV Radio Studio in Las Vegas. Ako po at si attorney naman ay nandiyan sa kanyang office sa Reeves Immigration Law Group. They are based out there in San Francisco, California. Ang kanilang mga details po, mga kaibigan, we will be showing that to you in this break. When we come back, mga updates po sa immigration. Diyan lang po kayo.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has been representing immigrants for nearly 40 years. Reeves Immigration Law Group has been fighting for its clients through experience and expertise. With immigration lawyers you can access at reasonable fees, even on Saturday. Payment plans are also available. Call us for your immigration solutions. We can do worldwide telephone and Skype consultations. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009. Reeves Immigration Law Group has offices in Los Angeles, San Francisco, China, and Philippines. See us at www.rreeves.com. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009.
Mga kababayan, nagbabalik po ang Immigration Law on Your Side every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here at PHLV Radio. And if you are tuned in to us or listening to us on our on-demand platforms, podcast version ng ating program, or on our social media pages, mga information po, mga kaibigan, na babanggitin namin ay current as of the 21st of April, Wednesday, mga kaibigan, here in Las Vegas and California, si attorney. Balikan natin si Attorney Diza. Attorney, maraming mga bagong updates sa ating world of immigration, and ilan at marami sa ating mga listeners are of course interested and very excited to find out ano na po ang nangyayari sa immigration world.
Yes, very ang promise po ni President Biden, right, at the moment he was inaugurated and sworn in as President of the US, is yung overhauling immigration. Dahil marami sa mga kababayan natin undocumented or out of status. So far, he kept his promise. Nag-execute siya ng mga presidential orders, kagaya ng DACA, and also sent his proposal to Senate and the House to start the proposal, to start the bill, to pass the bill according to his agenda. Unfortunately, Kuya Yo, na-stall lahat ng mga proposals niya, right, dun sa Senate and the House, as we are monitoring, continuously monitoring yung updates regarding the American Dream and Promise Act. Although it was passed by the House of Representatives, nakapending pa rin siya as of now sa Senate. So if that is passed, there are many dreamers, right, that will benefit from this law in case this will be passed. Now, the other aspect ito, Kuya Yo, ito yung Workforce Resilience Act, yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, is also a proposal din, at marami na tayong natatanggap na mga tanong from clients na yung mga working from the healthcare, industry, kagaya ng mga caregivers, registered nurses nandito na wala pang papel, right? If this is passed, they're allocating more visas for them, right? So we'll continue to watch out. As of now, ang ginagawa lang natin is emphasize lang natin that these are bills and possible laws. They may or may not be passed, right? But at least meron tayong something to look forward. At siyempre yung pangatlo, Kuya Yo, yung Citizenship Act of 2021, parang immigration reform to, di ba? But unfortunately, nakatenga o nakapending pa rin siya ngayon. We keep on following up and we keep on bugging our senators as immigration advocates. We write them letters, we communicate with them to pass these very important laws. Pero siyempre, hindi mo rin maiwasan because there are some conservative Democrats pa rin that delays this delay the passage of this bill. So, but anyway, as you mentioned, keep on following us sa social media at sa aming website. Very important din, Kuya Yo, doon sa mga reopening ng mga embassies, and we know we keep on discussing this dahil maraming mga kababayan natin ang na-delay yung pagpunta dito dahil sa COVID, at saka dahil na rin sa proclamation order ng ating former President Trump, suspending the entry of immigrants. It's more than a year na walang interviews, at kung may interview man, very limited lang ang kanilang pinapatawag. So marami sa mga kababayan natin na may mga na-interview na cancel, naghintay na ng interview na kompleto na yung documents a year ago. Be patient, because as we mentioned, even if President Biden lifted the suspension of the entry of immigrants, depende pa rin sa local condition kung saan po kayo nakatira. Kagaya sa halimbawa sa Pilipinas, where nagkaroon na ng mandatory quarantine na naman, di ba? So very limited na naman mga interviews nila. So mga priority nila, titingnan po ninyo if you qualify under the priority, kung asawa po kayo ng US citizen, kung mayroon po kayong anak na minor, kung mag-age out, kung may medical condition po ang inyong petitioner, stuff like that. Look at the possible possible exemption para po kayo mapatawag kaagad at mangunguna kayo sa linya para mapatawag ng interview at makakuha ang inyong visa. But for now, sa lahat ng mga nandito sa US, of course, inaabangan po natin palagi kung may maganda ng balita. Of course, malalaman po ninyo na sa amin ni Kuya Yo dito sa PHLV Radio, at ang aming opisina po ay patuloy na naglilingkod at nagbibigay po ng public service kagaya nitong radio, at sa mga website namin we also disseminate very relevant information. And like nyo po ang aming Facebook page, Reeves Immigration Law Group, yung aking personal page din, FJ Diza, US Immigration Attorney, yung aming mga other social media accounts, at ang aming website din pwede nyong tingnan para sa mga updates. We continue to provide free legal consultations at man po kayo, either through Zoom or telephone. We don't encourage people and we don't accept in-person consultation yet. Parang ginagawa namin ni Kuya Yo, we do consultation via Zoom. So yun po, at ang opisina namin, as Kuya Yo mentioned, I'm based in San Francisco, but immigration po, take note, ang immigration is a federal law. We represent people all throughout the US. So wag niyo pong sabihin na nasa New York po kayo, nasa Midwest, you can always call us to seek opinion or consultation regarding po in cases niyo. Maraming salamat, Kuya Yo.
Now, attorney, and also babanggit din natin sa Pilipinas, sa Makati. I'm sure
Yes.
marami tayong mga gustong magtanong dyan sa Makati office natin. At, ano po, attorney?
Correct. Yeah, meron po kaming staff doon sa Makati who would accept your calls. In fact, marami sa mga client natin in the late afternoon, Kuya Yo, right? Ang mga Zoom consultation natin are mostly from Manila dahil yun po ang time, because of the time difference, alas 4 natin doon, parang alas 7 o alas 8 nila doon ng umaga sa Pilipinas. So most of our consultation from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock are usually from the Philippines.
All right. So they got you covered, mga kaibigan. Ang Reeves Immigration Law Group based here in San Francisco, California. So attorney, maraming salamat again for another very, very insightful and very, very informative episode ng ating Immigration Law on Your Side dito po sa PHLV Radio. And kumusta na lamang po sa lahat ng mga staff ng Reeves Immigration Law Group dyan sa inyong lalagyan sa San Francisco, California. Attorney, I'll give you the floor. Baka mayroon kayong gustong mga batiin na baka may birthday dyan sa inyo.
Oh, tamang-tama, Kuya Yo. Today is April 21. It's the 25th birthday ng aking panganay, si Justin.
Happy birthday.
Fortunately, nakatapos na siya and is now working. Hinintay ko na lang magiging apo ko sa kanya, Kuya Yo. Right. And also on the 25th of April, it's my eldest daughter turning 4 years old, and my dad will be turning 80th birthday on April 25 as well. So I wish them all happy birthday and more birthdays to come. At of course, sa ating mga viewers and listeners din, patuloy po natin tangkilikin ang PHLV Radio, magagandang programa. Share our conversation in our program sa inyong Facebook page and encourage yung mga kapamilya po natin, kababayan, kanasyon to like and follow PHLV Radio and all of Reeves Immigration Law Group social media accounts. Marami pong salamat at stay safe always and stay safe and be well. Maraming salamat.
Nako, thank you very much, Attorney Diza from San Francisco, California. Another edition of Immigration Law on your side right here at PHLV Radio. Mga kaibigan, huwag kalilimutan, Wednesdays po tayo, alas 7 ng gabi, Las Vegas or San Francisco time. Pare pong time zone namin ni Attorney. Pero ako po ay nasa Las Vegas, si Attorney naman nasa Bay Area dyan sa California. Hanggang sa susunod mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Yo from PHLV Radio in Las Vegas. This has been another Immigration Law on your side right here at PHLV Radio.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has just brought you Immigration Law on Your Side. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Pacific on PHLV Radio. This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has been representing immigrants for nearly 40 years. Reeves Immigration Law Group has been fighting for its clients through experience and expertise. With immigration lawyers you can access at reasonable fees even on Saturday. Payment plans are also available. Call us for your immigration solutions. We can do worldwide telephone and Skype consultations. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009. Reeves Immigration Law Group has offices in Los Angeles, San Francisco, China, and Philippines. See us at www.rreeves.com. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.